This is a video that I wish someone had made for me when I was a bit younger. And I'm going to cover off where I think the best place to invest is, why you don't actually need loads of cash to start investing in the first place, and why I think so many people are still overlooking one of the best places to invest. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not even financially literate, and I've never really been interested in any of the traditional means of investing. And come the end of this video, you're either going to feel slightly motivated with a pep talk, or you're going to think I'm the biggest idiot you've ever seen on YouTube. Now, the first thing that I think is a big problem is the amount we're told you need to invest, you need to save, you need to be squirreling money away. You know, hold on. For the majority of my life, I was struggling to get by. You got the money you earn, which you've got to pay tax on. Then you've got to use some money to enjoy yourself, because if you don't enjoy yourself now in a bid to enjoy yourself later, you might just spend the next 10, 15 years being miserable saving money to then not even be able to enjoy it. And I know this is a bit morbid, but when I was growing up, there was a girl in my local area who didn't go on holiday for like 3 or 4 years, and she was the first out of all of her friends to buy a house. And about a year and a half after moving in, she got cancer and died. So we need to appreciate there is an element of risk. If you're going to save up and squirrel all of your money to retirement, you're making a bet that you're 100% going to make it there. And the majority of people probably will. And as a man, statistically, the thing that's most likely to kill you before retirement is yourself. So again, we definitely need to enjoy ourselves and not just say, let's wait till we're 60 or 65 to be happy in life. It's the biggest con ever. So the majority of people watching this, you're getting gaslit from people all around you telling you to invest, but you're like, invest what? After I've enjoyed myself a little bit and paid tax on my income, there's barely anything left. Taxes are crazy, and because of inflation and tax brackets staying in the same place, even with salaries going up, people are just getting bumped into the next tax bracket. Not to mention there are other costs that my generation and probably your generation have grown up with, whether it's student loans where student debt used to be free, or the first price of a flipping house. Sydney, Australia is the second worst place in the world behind Hong Kong. You're looking at over 10 times average salary to get yourself on the property ladder here. London, cooked. I know there are some places in the world not as bad, but I've had a lot of arguments with my parents. And they're like, oh, but inflation was a lot higher when we were younger. I was like, yeah, but mum, dad, 15% inflation on a house that's only 2.5 times salary is a different deal. But we're not here to have baby boomers versus millennials in a fight. Now, one thing you've probably seen that is driving me mad is the crypto bros. Now, I'm going to put this out there. My understanding of crypto maybe isn't that advanced. Maybe I am naive and ignorant. And honestly, if you are a crypto expert, please correct me in the comments. And if you're really clued up about this world, I would happily debate you on a podcast. Happily. Now, the reason I think the cryptocurrencies are so popular for young people is any route that they have to financial freedom or having a nice house or having the luxury of spare income isn't going to come from their traditional means. They go, oh, if I get this job, which is in line for my age and the pay for my age and experience, oh, I'd have to work at that company for 35 years, saving everything I earn after tax to afford a McLaren. No, they look at something else and they go, oh, okay, well, I'd have to invest all the money I have into the S&P 500 and then maybe in 15, 20 years, I could afford a deposit. No. So when the options in front of you are limited, crypto seems like an appealing option to go with. Think of it like this. Have you ever heard of something called the Small Town Plus 2? I used to play rugby in the South Island of New Zealand in a place called Oamaru. I wouldn't recommend it. It was cold. I came back with facial hair and we had penguins. But the point that I found was there were no attractive girls in Oamaru. So it was only after a long amount of time that you spend there was this phenomenon called the Small Town Plus 2, where a 6 out of 10 would become an 8 out of 10 very quickly. The only other place that we could even say this exists is within the workplace. You might work in an office. I remember, you'd catch a glimpse of someone from HR. She's a 5 at best, but in the office, she's a 7. And when we're looking at the opportunities around us financially for investments, crypto wouldn't be that appealing if young people had other options to potentially buy something and watch it go up. The issue I have with crypto is this. People say it's a currency. And if it was a currency being used as a currency, I could maybe understand it. But people actually are buying a currency as an investment, which is just an interesting way to look at it. And as economic times get worse and people get more desperate and people buy into it, I get it. The price of Bitcoin is now $100,000. But I can't help but think this is just a complex Ponzi scheme. And again, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But if we look at, was it Bernie Madoff? The guy who would just take people's money as an investment and pay the people that were there earlier. So then more people came, more people gave him money. Then he paid the second tier of people that got there early. And basically he was just using new money to pay previous investors. And if we look at people in the Bitcoin world, it is the early investors that are making cash off the new investors' investment. Now it could be a currency that's ended up being used and whatever, but it's been like 13 years and it's just not that well integrated unless you're a drug dealer. Drug dealer. And this is my other gripe with it. Everyone that's holding it right now, well, actually, first of all, if anyone's in crypto, first of all, they're like, oh, you need to buy, you need to buy, you need to buy. But if I buy, your coins now become worth more. So you're kind of financially incentivized to tell me to buy. Then they have terms like hold on for dear life, kind of gaslighting their audience, never sell. Because again, if you sell, you could potentially start a cascade of people selling. But this is the thing, right? So everyone out there, let's say, has a price. So all these people holding Bitcoin right now, it's $100,000. When that gets to an amount, on average, that people could exit their investment and have a meaningful impact on their family, people will exit. Think of it this way. Whatever your crypto portfolio is now, if that reached like 5 million US dollars, no matter how much you believe in crypto, the future, and it going to the moon and being worth more, part of you is going to go, Jesus, if I sell everything, I can just do a runner, abandon the community, buy my family a house and put my kids through private education or whatever it is. Human greed only goes so far. And eventually I feel the Ponzi scheme is going to get to a point where everyone's just going to take their cash and run. It's all going to come crumbling down. It's not often people give you advice unless it benefits them. Even this video, by giving you the advice that I'm about to give you a little bit later on in this video, this benefits me. Because if you buy into my system, some of you will end up joining my course. But at least if you were to join my course, you would have tools and knowledge that you could use to keep compounding your investment, which I'll get into in a second. But even this week, we saw the Huoc coin pumped and dumped. Everyone's pumping and dumping. Whether it's Andrew Tate, Huoc, Logan Paul. With these shit coins, meme coins, everyone's just hyping, then doing a rug pull. And history keeps repeating itself. And everyone's going, no, but it's different with my coin. I could be wrong, but I just do not think that crypto is a good investment. And here's another thing. I had to sack a member of staff because he was too obsessed with it. That's all we would talk about. And I said, you know what, mate? You're never going to be great at what you do for a living because you genuinely believe that your coins are going to make you rich. And that's a problem. I used to live with a guy who was a stripper. He was a good stripper. He used to make $1,000 a weekend stripping. I said to him, you're never going to be a fantastic coach. And he said, why? I said, because you don't need to be. Because that little bit of cash that you're making on the side from stripping is preventing you from being a great coach. Same way that these people that maybe have slumps in their business performance, they go, it's okay because my XRP coin is going to go to the moon next year and I'm going to be rich. These lies that you tell yourself are actually damaging your position in the short term. But this isn't a crypto video. Now, when it comes to traditional investments, like taking spare cash that you have and putting it into the S&P 500, cool, yeah. But again, the compounding impact of that, you've just got to keep putting it in for years and years and years and years and years. And then again, people are like, oh, you'd be rich when you're 50 or 60. And it's very difficult as a young person to appreciate that. You're like, yeah, cool. But I'm like, I'm 35, brother. I don't want to wait 20 years to have a Porsche 911. I kind of want one in the next few years. So people look to more volatile industries like crypto or gambling. They're putting their accumulators on their football bets at the weekend, just hoping that Sunderland come through with a 4-0 win and get their accumulator to the moon. But the issue with gambling is that even though some people do often win big, you know, behind the scenes, there's a lot of losses. Even people that do win big in gambling, they think, well, I made that much money gambling, I should probably gamble a bit more and make it more. Now, a lot of you that have followed me for a while will know that I had to take a bit of a hypocritical stance when it came to property investment. I always said that I never wanted a mortgage, never wanted to buy a house, and I bought a house. But the kind of stance I had is I just don't see it quite as the investment that most people do. The reason being is, first of all, you should not be using the fact you bought a house as like a metric of success, dangling your key in front of the house, because a lot of you, not all of you, a lot of you sometimes can be saving money through what could be the best years of your life to partner and move into a house with a partner, especially if you buy in your early 20s. Not many of you do it on your own. You do it in a relationship because then you get to split the deposit, split the repayments, everything like that. And who you are in your early 20s isn't often who you are in your older 20s. So a lot of couples do go in separate ways. So you end up buying a house with someone you didn't really love. And you often buy in an area that you didn't really want to live in, which means that you often have to commute quite a bit further to work, which makes the experience of going to work that little bit less enjoyable. Then you create a little prison for yourself that when your relationship doesn't start working out, you're kind of financially and physically tied to that person, which can cause all kinds of instability in a relationship. Put it this way, a lot of people bought houses with people they don't love to live in an area they didn't want to live in, and now they've stuck working a job that they might not be loving because they've got to pay the mortgage. Again, like I said, that's not everyone, but for some people they go, fucking hell, he's right. And again, for those of you that maybe do have the spare income to buy, if you're going to buy for security. That's why I bought. I have a dog. He likes the beach. There was a house. It was near the beach. So if I do this, I don't have to worry about the rental market going crazy or whatever. But I wouldn't say this house is an investment. The stamp duty is cooked. You got to pay on a house, especially a nice one. Cheers. Have 100 grand. Thanks. Oh, how do I pay for that? With money that I've already paid tax on? Lovely. And if I want to move house again, oh, just pay stamp duty again. Oh, but you don't have to pay capital gains because it's the house that you live in. Cool. But I've still already paid tax on this money. You already got half. Now you're going to penalise me 6 figures every time I move. Make that make sense. Not to mention you got upkeep of the property, insurance, bills, maintenance. And then some people go, oh, but my property in the last 5 years has gone up by £150,000. Has it? Or is your money worth less? Because the buying power is gone. And even if you sit there and go, my property went up by 20% in value, well, guess what? The property you're moving into is going up by 20% in value. And everyone says, but renting is wasting money. Do you know what else is wasting money? Paying stamp duty. Oh, you're just pissing away £1,000 a month. Well, you might have to give fucking 60 grand to the government when you next want to move house. Change postcode. Now, that's not to say that the property industry isn't lucrative. But again, I think it can distract people away from other potential means of making money, which I'm getting into now. I never really cared about any of this stuff. I didn't. And to be honest, I still don't. I don't hold any crypto. I don't have any money invested in the S&P 500 or in ETFs. My investment portfolio is technically at zero, but technically also not at zero. There was an interest savings account that I was very interested in an earlier stage of life, almost by accident. And at 24, instead of trying to buy a house, or instead of trying to get crypto, or instead of trying to do any of these things, I decided my interest savings account was going to be an audience. And I knew that I could pay into that interest savings account every time I created a piece of content. So every time I made a reel, every time I made a tweet, every time I wrote an email, I was in essence not just paying into my interest savings account, but I was being able to impact it on a daily or even hourly basis. Whereas if you put something in the S&P 500, you've got to sit back and wait for ages. When you look to build an audience, you are in control of that investment fully, wholly. You have a video that outperforms all the other videos, your share prices go up and it can impact your business. I can see on a day-by-day basis, the financial position of my business is impacted by paying in, just like I am now with this video. And for a lot of young people, and again, not everyone has what it takes to build an audience, post for years, create a business, serve people online, whatever it is. But for a lot of people, you do. Now, similarly to a lot of investments, if you put money in the first year, you're not going to see a massive amount back. But in social media, 100% you could. And there are people, even in my program, that are thinking about going to uni and doing a master's. And I'm like, cool, you could spend a year or several years becoming better educated. And if you're a doctor, a surgeon, or you're flying a plane, cool. But if you were to spend those 4 years instead making better content, producing YouTube videos, learning how to use Photoshop for thumbnails, you can drastically impact the level and quality of your life and the people around you. And no one's really had that opportunity before. And the compounding effect of an audience can be drastic. And again, sure, there is this survivorship bias. I'm only giving this advice because I posted content and it worked for me. But again, you don't need to have millions of followers and hundreds of thousands of people. For so many of you, even if the content just makes a meaningful impact to the traffic to your business or to your shop or to your online English lessons or your jiu-jitsu gym, whatever it is. Gary Vee calls it day trading attention, which is what it is. The most valuable commodity to me isn't shares. It's not stocks. It's not crypto. It's attention. And over the years, I'm trying to master the art of capturing people's attention and accruing goodwill with that audience so that ultimately, if I can give enough value to someone, we're going to come to a point where eventually they go, I'm in. And I can't believe so many people are sleeping on this opportunity. Are you going to become a millionaire and have a McLaren? Maybe, maybe not. But for the first time in history, if you master the art of making good content and helping people with their thinking, every video should give someone like an aha moment. Or even with this, it'd be nice for someone to go, I was kind of stumped before with the idea of investment, but now I realize that if I can get a camera, a microphone, or even just use my iPhone and learn how to edit, I can start my portfolio and I can start growing it over the next few years. And the more aggressive you want to grow it, the better. In the early days, I was going live every single day at 5 a.m. in the morning before work. Everything in life kind of works out the same. The more you put in, the more you get out. But not so many investments are malleable and in a way that you can impact them as creating an audience and having some kind of business associated to it. So for any of you out there that are like younger and you're ambitious and you're kind of worried about where you should be investing, start building now. You might not take a dividend for a few years, but where everything out there is potentially dodgy and unsafe and volatile, it's almost one of the safest investments ever. And what do you need? Even if you were to start your investment with $1,000, camera, tripod, laptop, edit, happy days. If you've got the solution to people's problems, you can create a business out of it. And I think if you truly want to get rich in this day and age, which really should mean just having more money than you need to, do you know what being rich is? Going to dinner and not worrying about what things cost. That's it. Going to dinner and knowing that you can just put your card down and pay for your friends. That's rich. Everything after that is just bullshit. I think that's what Joe Rogan says anyway. That's what I want you to see investing. And the better you can do that, the more you can start allocating your effort into manipulating the market and that market being your audience. I'll put some links in the description if you want to learn how to do that more. But if not, I'll see you in the next video. YouTube will probably put a thumbnail here, a video it thinks that you'll enjoy. So maybe click that, see what you think of that one as well. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.